In today's episode, we'll be talking about sudden changes.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang, Malaysia. So, Gina,
Yes.
how do you deal with change? Like sudden changes?
I'm quite a well-planned person, right? If I'm
Sometimes.
taking a project or something, I'm quite well-planned.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm also known for my flexibility because I have a certain framework in my mind that I'm able to be flexible lah.
Okay.
It's as simple as, for example, I remember this happened with my mom some time ago. I said, I want to go and eat this beef noodle, but a lot of people want. But then today, special day, maybe not many people, it's like a public holiday or something, but it's like chances of it will have less people, so let's go. And then we will drive 45 minutes there or something like that.
Then?
And then when I arrive, there's a queue that is not entirely around the block, but it's like I can literally see a half an hour. And I told mom, come, let's eat next door. And my mom would be like, what? But you came all the way? But I said, I'm not willing to take a queue, let's eat next door. So I'm flexible that way lah. In terms of that kind of change, if you what you're talking about.
Flexible lah. So you don't have to like stick to the plan and feel like,
I like to have a plan, but I don't mind changing or adjusting it according to what's happening throughout the day.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I live my life lah.
Because I'm asking also because I think I used to be very, very flexible. I used to be very phlegmatic, like, yeah, what you want? Okay, whatever goes.
Oh yeah, now she cannot. If I mention nasi lemak, and then I happen to go there and I don't eat nasi lemak, and then she like, huh? And then the whole day she thinking about nasi lemak just because I mentioned tomorrow we eating nasi lemak, but we didn't eat nasi lemak at the end.
So I don't know what happened to me. What happened that somebody who can be so flexible suddenly cannot embrace change anymore? So like, okay, so case in point, people call me at 11:30 and say, want to go for lunch? And I'd be like, why you do this to me? Why you didn't tell me yesterday? Why you do this to me now? I just sat down to do work and then like, I feel like, then I was like stressed, but then I don't mind going for lunch, but one hour. Does that happen to you? No, right?
No. You can call me and tell me, Gina, I'm 10 minutes away from your house. You want lunch? Then I say, okay, see you downstairs. Like, even though I've eaten lunch, I might just see you downstairs. Because I felt that, since you're already in the neighborhood, there's an effort there, so why not? Unless I'm like super busy, like I need the deadline to be met in the next half an hour, then I'll say, okay, you go eat first. I will finish my half hour deadline and come back. But
the funny thing for me, right, it's like small change like that, it frazzles me. But then big change, I'm like, okay, maybe got a little bit more time. So for example, okay lah, this one happened maybe about 10 years ago lah, when I suddenly felt like I needed to quit my job. So I used to have a day job, and then I felt like, just felt like it's time to quit.
Okay.
I've never been so-called jobless before. I've never been a freelance person before. I just took 2 loans, car loan and a house loan. But somehow I just felt like, yes, I can embrace this change, So are there different situations in your life where some change can accept, some change cannot?
I don't know, I don't think so. I'm quite a flexible person. I mean, you look at me when I travel, right? You might be annoyed with me when I travel lah. I said the plan is to drive from KL to JB, okay? In between, maybe if you're hungry, we'll stop. But then I might be driving halfway and say, now I feel like eating seremban noodle. Let's just do detour inside and just, have noodles and come back out. Which she might be like, but we just ate breakfast. Like, suddenly, why you seremban noodle? But I'm like, but I'm passing by seremban. So seremban lah. Or it could be something like that. But traveling with you now, right? I also stop my impromptu-ness. I go like, Gina, got passenger, okay? Don't anyhow say, Yong Peng, let's stop for curry noodle.
No lah, mine is like, got quota to eat. So
but she seriously have a quota for eating one. If she eat breakfast already, she said, even though she wants to eat it, must wait for like lunchtime or something. Cannot.
Please don't give me snacks. It's like, I'm going to eat lunch. Don't give me snacks before that.
I'm an opportunist foodie. So I'm quite flexible in that way. And then when I travel, for example, if let's say people's plan, I don't mind plan that says that after breakfast, don't know what we're doing yet lah. Then later definitely there's a dinner appointment. Okay, I'm fine with that. I can even find out like, okay, dinner appointment is around which area. You cannot tell me, never mind. As long tell me what time. Then I can play around with the flexibility. But I don't think you can.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, is it an aging thing?
So change was something that happens quite often in the corporate world.
Okay.
For example, I worked in a bank before. okay, this was my job scope. Let's say do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, it changed because CEO changed everybody's KPI. So my job scope is now B, C, D plus A or something like that.
Okay.
And then 3 months later, department head changed or some policies up there changed. It changed. I was thinking, where's my fixed job? My KPI keep changing. Those were some things that took me a while.
Okay.
Because I felt that before that I was in the advertising world.
Yeah.
If you're a copywriter, you copyright any.
Yeah.
Your boss won't come in and say, today you copy designer. It never happened. But when I went to the banking world, it forever changing my KPI that I just went, I don't know what I'm working as already. That irks me a little bit. Because I felt that I'm a person who I want to know this is my job scope. I want to do for 3 years, master it and move on. But this is like snake. Those were probably the only changes that made me go like, what on earth is happening?
Okay, but how did you cope?
I was stuck in a contract, so I cannot run anywhere. So I just keep changing my KPI. But I will always talk to my boss when it runs out. Like for example, this is not part of my contract. What is this? Talk to head of departments. It's not my role. My role is checking
Someone
logo.
Gina doesn't like to talk.
Yeah, I'm a logo person. I was hired to confirm branding. So if you say, Gina, from now onwards, you must meet with every department head to what? I'm like, what on earth is this? So there are certain discomfort at first.
Yeah.
But like I say, I can decide whether, okay, I don't like this KPI, I can quit my job or I embrace it. But by then I know every 3 weeks change, every months change.
Wow.
I will just embrace that change because it might change.
Yeah. I think embracing it is being willing to embrace and just let go, I think, is the key. Right? So remember the other day we went to watch movie, right? And then I was like, yay, caramel popcorn. And then Gina goes and like, hey, got this thing called nanas now.
And then before I even say that, right, there's pineapple popcorn because it's on, hot. on Chinese New Year, right? I really know, oh my gosh, now she got to take another 10 minutes to make a decision. She really took 5 minutes to decide whether it's a combo and a non-combo, and I have to go in and, hi, we got pineapple popcorn, and then it will take another 10 minutes.
Okay, so yeah. So I think it's just not being, for me is when I try to embrace change, which I used to be able to again, it's more of not being stuck in that mentality that it's got to be this, right? Okay lah, try lah. And in trying that, I'm also telling myself, if I don't like it, never mind lor. It's like, not if like, I don't like it lah, stupid lah, should have done a caramel lah. Then it just like kind of snowballs into a bad mood. Don't enjoy the movie. Don't.
Kind of. I think when you embrace change, you have to embrace the consequences as well.
Yeah.
And not blame yourself for making that decision to change. Like, I know some people is like, why I spent 10 ringgit? I shouldn't have changed. I'm going to have my caramel 10 ringgit and not change to pineapple because of...
Or actually, if just driving. Like, there's been times that I drove and then like, I should turn here and then like, don't follow my gut and then drive somewhere else and then like, jam like don't know why.
Why did I follow ways lah?
And then like your whole thing is just like, I shouldn't have done that thing lah, So
I think there's a lot of unexpected change in our life in even the smallest details lah.
Yeah.
Like, going to buy something and they run out and you're like, shikes.
Yes.
And for Juwita, it's a big thing because she actually envisioned the food she wants to buy, fixed in her head. And then when don't
I
have,
can taste it in my mouth already.
Yeah, when she reach there and order, if don't have, right, she can really take another 15 minutes to realign herself. Unlike me, right, don't have, okay, the next thing on the menu is this. Okay, this. Yeah. We are totally polar opposite.
That's where my nasi lemak thing came from. Then I eat what? Eat bread. Like, what?
I don't know where you find all the energy. But what are some of the changes, for example, like when you quit your job, just now you mentioned, right? Then you go through the whole thing, then suddenly you got this Taiwan contract, and then you went to Taipei. That would consider a big change, what? Like for example, right, you think that I'm just going to gig in Malaysia, then suddenly someone comes and say, hi, would you like to go to Taipei? What was besides a good opportunity jumping in, but is there any other concerns that you were thinking about or...
Okay, but you see, those things happen earlier when I was still like
flexible.
Actually, I think I still am flexible in certain things. I do think I have an adventurous streak in me. I really do think I have an adventurous streak.
That's why you need to meet me earlier. Because I will just trigger, I go already, you think yourself.
Yeah, I didn't think so hard when I'm going there. I really didn't. It's like, okay, I'll quit my job, try this. I think it was more of like, 5 years I started my life away for 5 years, and it's more of the being careful part lah, rather than leave everything behind.
Do you think that we embrace change slower as we grow older?
That has been my question, no?
Maybe we need to ask our guests that question after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Songs and Stories. What Songs and Stories does is it gives you the true life story of the people. Everyday people with everyday lives and how they got to where they are. So if you want to find out more, check out Songs and Stories on Facebook. We are also on Twitter and YouTube. And
Yeah, actually, you just Google lah.
yeah, website songsandstories.com.my. Okay, we're back and we have a friend with us. Her name is Alia Alsagoff. And she is about to go through quite a major change in life. So
Like a bomb, like boom.
Quite sudden one also.
Yeah.
So, hello Alia.
Hello everyone.
How are
Hi Gina,
you?
Juita. Good, thank you.
Okay, so tell us about this change that you are going through.
Wait, rewind a bit lah.
Rewind a
Some
bit lah.
introduction
Oh,
lah.
okay lah,
You know
okay
how
lah.
we do storytelling, right? This is the normal thing. Then suddenly something happened. Ta-da! Now we have a story.
Oh, is it?
So,
Sorry, I'm a musician.
don't-
I sing song.
yeah.
I just start straight from the...
So don't start with the change, but start with the what is happening
Okay,
before the
Gina, go.
bomb change. So yeah, Alia, as far as we know, you had a corporate job and you were working, and then you recently got married, and then a bomb landed on you after you got married. A bomb of change. So
Okay.
maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this bomb of change.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I was working in corporate all my last 10 years of my life. That's why I also met Juita and recently met Gina as well. Suddenly this recent bomb was essentially an opportunity to relocate, like pack up my whole life into boxes and literally move to a different continent, which is now going to be Australia.
I think Juita and I were quite surprised.
Yeah.
Because you signed up for a worker camp, and then
Yes.
the next thing I saw on the story is bye-bye, we are going off.
And I'm like, who signs up for a camp just before flying off?
That wasn't even in my mind. I was going like, hey, Juita, I thought she just signed up with us. Where's she going? Like, the camp haven't happened.
So I guess the story behind that is really like my whole life is Malaysia. You know, my friends, family members, my base, my support base essentially is here. I have no real reason to look out elsewhere. You know, I have, like Gina said, career plan already, you know, what you want to do, da-da-da. But all of suddenly, my husband and I were given this opportunity, more of him and I'm just tagging along of sorts, right? To relocate to Australia and start a fresh life there. And it wasn't an easy decision for me to make. At least I had to think about it quite for a long time. You know, for me, it's about also speaking to your immediate nucleus family, my parents, right?
Yeah.
What do they think of this? On my husband's side, maybe some context is that some of his siblings are already based in Sydney. I think they relocated 5+ years ago. And life has been great for them. We've been looking at like his niece. She went there when she was maybe about 4.5, 5-ish. Before she left, she was very, very shy, very timid. Don't want to talk to strangers, always hiding behind the mom, right? And now, like 5 years plus later, she's so confident, very polite, wanting to shake hands and speak to everyone that she meets when she's back in Malaysia. And we've even heard stories of, you know, her school teacher in Australia would say things like, you know, her name is Mira. It's like, Mira is very good this week. There were some bullies in the class disturbing her friends, and she actually stood up to them and said, you know, stop all this. You know, we just want to have fun in school. So for me, it was like, wow, just 5 years in a new country, that person is given a chance and they took hold of that chance and look how much they can transform. And she's now 9 and she can already tell me and my husband, I know when I'm 18, I'm going to do fashion design in RMIT in Melbourne. So she's already like sorted out her whole life. And I think to myself, I didn't even know what I was going to do in my life when I was 16, 17, you know, still figuring out what I wanted to do.
Because you said your husband has siblings in Australia. Before you get married, you already know there's a potential that he might move you all there because like his siblings already there, or
super good question.
Zero tak tahu.
Totally zero. Like never in our
He never
mind.
hint to you, or he never even think about it himself. Nothing.
Nothing. Like our whole life is literally in Malaysia. We have like we were just fine with how things are.
So the job relocation wasn't like you didn't apply for it. It just landed on you all lah.
It landed and it was basically something that we were asked to consider, and we were like, oh, never actually thought about it lah. Let us talk to family first. For him, it was easy peasy lah. The siblings there were like, yay, come, we have more family and friends, yay. For me, it was like, Yeah, I'm not to say that I'm super patriotic lah, but I love Malaysia. I love our food. Okay, let's be real, right? All Malaysians, we always get together. Food, sports, the way we complain about our government, and all our love for public holidays lah, right?
Which will not happen over there.
Right? So when I spoke to my parents, I was, sort of expecting them to be equally as shocked as I was. Like, hey, this opportunity is on the table. Do we want to take it? What do we do? And they were like, they were really happy. Of course, they would miss us, but they were like, hey, this is a really good opportunity for you guys. You should really consider it. This kind of opportunity doesn't come knocking on everyone's doors every day. Like, why you still need to think? I'm like, huh? I was expecting you to give me like 101 reasons to like,
Don't move.
reconsider this or stay. But I think everyone was naturally pleasantly surprised. And because they took the news so well, I was like, oh, so there's nothing really for me to worry about.
I should also take the news well.
I was like, I need to recenter myself and now really figure out, okay, so this bomb of change is now in play. How do we now make the most of it, right?
Okay.
Because
So is it like a temporary thing or is a permanent thing, you think?
really good question. So I wasn't expecting a permanent thing, but we were offered a permanent residency, right?
Wow.
So then it sort of makes initially, I was like, oh, neither here nor there. What do I do? I have a job. Do I need to resign from my job? What do I do? And
Yeah, like career-wise, right?
Yeah.
so my husband's like, okay, let's think about the pros and the cons of this.
Yeah.
The pros is, I guess, thinking again about going back to my niece, his niece Mira, right?
Yeah.
If we ever plan to have kids, which we do, then, their education is pretty set. You know that they will be in a good and thriving environment for them to become very confident future leaders or future people, right? And just because we'll be relocating doesn't mean like we're no longer Malaysians. We're going to come back every year naturally for all the big celebrations to meet our families. And he said like, let's also talk not just about, putting on a rose-tinted glasses where people always tell you, oh, things are good there, grass is greener, just go, right? But, for us, we wanted to take the very realistic point of view, which is, what if we go there and we end up really not liking it? There are also stories, maybe not as well told by people of people saying, hey, you know what, we tried it, it's not really for us, we want to go home. So we said, maybe that's something we should also plan for, right? Our homes are still here, we'll just leave our things here and maybe just embrace this change, try to make the most of it. Is really like resetting our careers and resetting our base there from scratch as well. And then after 12 months, maybe reflect again and decide, is this still something that I want? If yes, then let's take it step by step.
Yeah.
If no, then
Very systematic.
if not, then come back, lor.
Yeah.
Right? That it's a kind of like a two-way door. I think that some business leaders like Jeff Bezos like to popularly coin this term of two-way doors. When you make a decision, is it a reversible one?
Yeah.
Can you walk through the door and come back in again?
Yeah.
So if it is, then you don't really have much to worry about per se, versus something like, oh, I have to go through a life-changing experience and there's no way to come back again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I suppose you are also both in the stage in life, I'm assuming that it's not a bad time to uproot and go.
That's right.
Right.
At
It's
least
like
you shouldn't have a family here, one in kindergarten, then you want to uproot a bit hard.
correct.
Correct.
Kindergarten also not so bad. No, it's like from 5 or like
Correct.
school like standard 6, that kind of thing. So it's more of maybe let's try this and see how lah. At
Correct.
least it's a new life experience. You would have gathered some.
But what I really like about her
experience.
sharing is how everyone around her is very supportive of the
Kan?
change.
Yeah.
Imagine if you like have families, like I can't even make up my mind and you have families trying to add fire to the entire situation before,
Yeah.
Like why go lah, we are all here or something like that. Then it kind of pollutes your thinking a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you have people going like, hey, if you need to go, I support you. Then your thinking is more objective.
And then that's kind of like give you that.
Like
when-
I don't have to think about my left, right, center of my decision. so to
Correct.
speak
So
lah.
like earlier when I was saying I quit my job, right? And then I felt, I've got to tell my mom. Like, oh my gosh, I'm still going to get this. Because my mom is like even less open to change than I am, right? And she's always telling me, you think what, the money grow on the tree, So I remember I had 2 loans and I called. I said, Mom, I'm going to send in my resignation already. And I was expecting, and now what are you going to do? Oh, what are you going to eat? What she said was, oh, okay. Like, shocked.
Maybe she didn't hear you properly on the phone.
Then I'm like, yeah, so I tender resignation. I confirmed that. Oh, okay. And for me, that just gave me that. Okay, it's almost like a confirmation. It's like a push on, and like, okay lah, I can do this lah. I can do this.
But I think adapting to change has its pros and cons. Like my family is very flexible in adapting change. Maybe that's where I come from lah, okay? So for example, I can quit my job without telling my mom first. And then I go home. Oh, by the way, I quit my job today. I got 20.
Wow.
And it's not a big hoo-ha, even though I was the breadwinner or something like that. There's no like, oh, what do we eat now? It's not the first instant response. We just adapt to the change. I said, okay, Gina quit already. So what we gonna eat now? Like, it's not the reaction. It's always more of the response.
Okay.
So anything that we go through, right? For example, like, let's say something happened at home. It's not something like, life changing. Everybody go off this, go like, It's more like, this has happened, what we do. This happened, what we do. So we are flexible
I
in
like
that sense.
that.
But I also don't like that.
Oh.
Because, right, there are some things that when it happen, you do, then it can be a bad habit.
Oh.
For example, heater spoil already, just don't replace lah, cold water lah. Cold water no more already. Then so it's like in the first place, you just fix that heater, you won't have this problem. So there is pros and cons in being very adaptive to change. And we must identify whether it's a good change or a bad change.
Oh, so deep.
Or just try prolong later change. Lazy change, yeah. I call it.
Betul. So it's not settling for less, right? But
I think that's very, very important in life.
But what I was saying that I like is that not to react to it, but to respond to it. I think that's very insightful.
Yes.
Like trying to make the most of it.
response.
Yeah, make the most of it, right? Whatever you could.
So
lah.
now I've got another opportunity that presents itself. What am I going to do? Which one?
Correct. So like my parents so far, probably in their mind, I'm radical lah. In their view. Because I remember after I quit my job suddenly, then there's like no time to really register. It took them a long time. Then 2 years later, I said, okay, I came back from a meeting.
Yeah.
And from that meeting, I somehow felt that, okay, I will uproot myself to Penang to run an art center. So I went back. Oh, I've decided, by the way, I talked to my, I have some new project friends who are going on. In the next 2 months, I'll move to Penang and I will move there. Like, move, not holiday,
Yeah.
I will uproot my entire thing. And they were like, wow, never hear the angin, nothing, tiba-tiba, boom, tornado arrived already.
Yeah.
They were a bit shocked. They were like, what are you going to do there? Like, I will start an art center, everything. Then, have you rented place? No, not yet. In these 2 months, I will go and look for a space. Like, it almost sounded like I had it planned. That's what they told me. It almost sounded like you planned it for 5 months and you decide to tell us that last minute. But my point, I did decide that last minute and I told myself, 2 months I moved because it was November, December. January I start straight in Penang. And I'm okay with that kind of change, which surprises me based on my personality lah.
Right. Talking about personality, the other day you sent me some talk, TED talk or whatever. I was surprised because when I clicked, it was this woman who was saying, just make your decisions randomly lah. And I'm like, who tells you that?
Nothing like Juju doesn't make decision randomly.
So the thing was, she was saying something along the lines of, you can never compare. Like if you decide go to Australia or don't go to Australia, it will never be comparable because you went or you didn't go. You can't say if I had not gone, it would have been better, or if I had gone, it would have been better because you don't know what would have happened on this side of the thing. And suddenly, right, that reminded me of, you talked about your personality and the way you jive, the way you move. I am an INFP, so intuitive, I don't know what lah, feeling, perception. So thinking, right, is not on my way at all, okay? And I realized that when I make a decision, it's always to embrace this change or not. It's how I feel, I know. It's the gut feel. So I think what has changed recently is when I try to think. Remember we had this episode about overthinking. It's actually not my trait. And therefore trying to think rationally about things, it just makes a big mess out of my brain because I'm not wired that way. And yeah, that got me thinking like, maybe I should just stop trying this thinking business. Not say don't think lah, but don't put so much.
Don't overthink lah. You should listen to the overthink
It's not
episode.
it's not how it, it's not how I jive. So maybe that's why it's so stressful for me to think.
Good plug. Can everybody please listen to the overthinking episode? You probably laugh your head off of what are the small things that you
must
without
top 10 leh.
overthinking.
So fast.
But having said that, right, we are embracing this change. The biggest change so far is Alia's change, which is like uprooting yourself to a different continent. I mean, I moved to Penang, which is nothing lah. I can still just drive down,
Betul.
Australia is like, I can't drive down, or like the next flight ticket is not in the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it feels near, but it's actually not near.
Yeah. So like, what are the preparations that you do when it comes to this kind of big change?
Yeah.
Super great question. I think I can share in like 2 circumstances, 2 scenarios. Like now it's like, okay lah, you at least have 2+ weeks two to 4 weeks or from the day we've decided to actually like, okay, we need to now plan relocation. So things like packing, what are the things that you really want to move? There's some camps who tell you, don't need to bring anything, just pack your important like baju, your important documents, take your 2 suitcases and just go. Everything else you need there, just go spend and buy there, which is not wrong. But I think that kind of decision comes down to individual, I guess, your personality and also your finances. Like if you can just uproot and buy everything there, then great lah. You can just play Sims again there and rebuild your house, right? But at least for us, I think the decision that me and my husband made was, if this is something that we want to have a go at really long term, then let's make the right decision, but also a smart decision financially, since we do still have time. Let's think about what are things that we die also must bring. So I'll give you an example. For him, it's like he is on the former camp. Just go there, bring basic stuff, buy everything. For me, it's like, but I really, really like our bed. Like, we spend quite a nice sum of money on that. It's to support posture long term. It's supposed to work for at least, 10 years-ish. I want to bring that bed with me.
Wow.
So he's
He
like,
must be like, this
Bed
girl is joking. Why are we bringing
pillow,
a
no.
mattress?
so coming to how we then decide what to bring, right? Maybe this would help the listeners as well. Is thinking about, do you really need that thing? If it's something you really, really need or really, really want, okay, then think about, can you get an equivalent over there?
Okay.
And if finances is something that you're considering, then you just check, do you have the model there? What's the price there? And then you contrast it with what's the cost of actually bringing all these things over. On top of that, are there other big things that you also want to bring over? So then you do the math and you'll come to the answer whether it still makes sense for you to move it or not.
Question.
Sure.
This one, the company got pay relocation.
Oh, tada lah. This one's sendiri
tada,
punya.
all on you. Okay,
Yes.
okay. That makes a big difference also. Okay.
Right? So I realized that sort of framework has helped me in all aspects of my life. So I was saying how I have 2 scenarios I wanted to share, right? One is this big bomb movement of things. Before I come back to Gina's question on, what else we need to plan. There's also a time where I was based in Melbourne when I was studying my degree there back, 6-7 years ago. 10 years ago actually. Wow. So old already now.
Yeah, man. I was trying to look at it. Wow, she's so young.
10 years. So there was a trip that I had always wanted to do to New Zealand. Because we were already in Australia. Right? So near already, guys. I'm telling my classmates. Let's plan a post-graduation trip. Work so hard for your degree. Go and de-stress. From now, year 1, we talk about it. You guys save money the next 2 years. Then end of our graduation, we go. Mana tahu towards end of graduation, sorry lah, got this problem lah, got that lah, plans change lah, this, that. And I said, you know what? It's okay. I'm still going to go. Because I told myself that I was going to go there before I came back to Malaysia. And I don't know when I'm going to be in Australia, New Zealand again. So literally in a span of 2 weeks, just plan a trip. I kind of shortcut. So here's a tip. Always de-risk these things for yourself and try to learn from other people. Start asking, put your feelers out. Hey, any Malaysian went to New Zealand before, can share your itinerary or not? I plan to go there for 2 weeks. So you already crowdsource from friends, right? And family.
I like crowdsource.
Crowdsource, right?
Crowdsource.
Then I also went and checked out all these tour companies. What do their itineraries look like? And then you compare and contrast. Why are they arranging the activities in this way? Then you look at the map and then you're like, now you can save time, travel time, this and that. And then I just packed my bags and I just went. I didn't tell my parents, I just went. And then my mom was on my Instagram. She's like, solo travel to New Zealand alone, just driving a car by herself. What is this girl doing? I thought chill lah, mom, I'm an adult now. I can take care of myself. I've been in Australia for 3 years doing just fine. Next thing I knew, I got a WhatsApp call from my grandma crying. Why you do this to yourself? I cannot imagine you be there alone, blah, blah, blah. Really? So I was like, everybody calm down. Here's my plan, my itinerary, where I'm staying. Now you know where I am every point of the day. Don't stress. Okay. When I'm back, I'll call you guys. Okay, bye. Just went, right?
So actually a lot about embracing change is also really about the support or non-support we get from the people around.
Yeah.
It's just not really us. You can make a decision, but we are humans lah. It can be swayed or kind of influence our thoughts lah.
Yeah. So back to Gina's question, now that we have this big bomb move to Australia, what do you need to prepare, right? Aside from, moving your things. I think it's just very important that you have closure. I think that's one aspect maybe people don't really think about as a top 1 priority. But I think for me, it's more of, do I owe anybody anything? It can be financial, it can be non-financial, right? I promise you I will take you to this place, but we never
return all the things I borrowed.
Fair point, right? So it's just getting closure with all those people, whether it's at work or in your personal life, family members and friends. We try to, meet up with as many people as we can. And even this session is one way to also see you guys before we go. So yeah, just on an emotional level, on a physical level, those things that you need. And then just, you don't have to worry because high chances whatever you need in that other country, they would have either the equal or similar version of what you
She's
need.
going to Australia. She's not
You
going
went
to
somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's important to, I kind of understand where both Gina and Juwita are coming from, where, you know, you can go a spur of the moment, changes and you'll be fine, but you also want to kind of plan a bit. So the way I like thinking about planning for like, unforeseen changes is draw like your parameter of things that you need to know, like maybe from regulation wise, what do I need to do before I leave Malaysia? What do I need to do when I land in that, you know, new environment or new place, right? Once you set up your boundaries, you kind of know what you must do. And then everything else in the middle is for you to go and build new experience and have fun. Just embrace kind of those change and try to make the most of those changes while you have that time there.
Yeah. So what I get from Alia, right, is she's very adventurous, no, but then she has this structure that she can work with.
Hi-fi.
Yeah. Okay, wait, I have one more question. So your husband, your now husband, has a job already. You're uprooting from your corporate life to not sure what yet, right? So
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, it is a little bit scary, right? Because you are kind of venturing into, somewhere you've been before. At least in my case, people will say, but you've been there before, you've been in Melbourne before. But I think life as a student versus life as a working adult can be very, very different as well. You also have to be kind of open to changes in a sense where, like for me, career will just be, you know, whatever I have done in Malaysia already, I don't think a country like Australia is as accepting of the work environment outside of Australia. So their country is a little bit, in terms of employment at least, a little bit more insular in a sense that they like seeing Australian experiences on your resume or in your past experience. It's kind of like a shortcut for them to decide whether this person is a good cultural fit or not. So if you've been working all your life like outside of Australia, then they kind of think twice like, but I don't know whether you'd fit in. And the reason for that is once they hire someone, it's not easy for them to get rid of the person. So they put a lot of effort into ensuring the person has good cultural fit, even though on merit, you can completely do the job just like anyone else there, right? So for me, that's a big change that I would need to adapt to. Essentially, it would mean that I would have to go there and just start networking again, start talking to people, sharing with them that, maybe I have a slight upper hand in that I studied here, but hey, that was like 10 years ago. I don't even know if that still, carries much weight right today. I think it's important to put your feelers out there, build a new, at least for me, I have to build like a new support system from not just career point of view, but also a social support point of view, meeting new neighbors, community members, making new friends essentially. And just, like I said, embrace the new culture and environment there.
I think this episode is very good for you, Ju.
Okay, so
no offense.
My take home from this one is you already say, okay, I'm going to do this. Jump in with both feet.
Yes, I think
And
if
just go.
you're gonna decide to do something, don't try agak-agak hesitate. No, I have people in my life who are like, do but then I want to go somewhere. So
that's the worst thing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worst thing is because you actually don't really know the full impact of going forward.
Yeah.
It's like half-half.
Follow your heart lah. I think
Yeah.
that one I can drive. Follow my heart, don't think so much.
Yeah. You need to wear a shirt. Come and print for you.
Yes.
Follow your heart, don't
Follow
think
my
so
heart.
much.
Go there and figure it out, right?
Yeah, it will work out when you follow your heart.
And the good news is that Malaysian diaspora everywhere in the world. So can find, especially, places like Australia, so many people there.
Yeah.
So if both of you are ever in Melbourne, please hit me up. We'll go have coffee.
Yay, Melbourne's so big. That will be another episode. But okay, Ju, you may sum up the episode by saying,
embrace change. It's good for you sometimes.
I thought you have a change song.
Don't want to talk about it.
Okay, cut.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Juwita Suwito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.